In this video, we're going to get started on the wiring harness and install that into the Moke. Now this wiring harness, I purchased this from a company called Wire. They were actually a lot cheaper than any of the mini suppliers that sell one already made. They actually custom make their orders, so it does take a few weeks for it to come. But I ordered this early in the project. The other good thing as well is that all of the wires are labelled with numbers, and they provide you with this sheet which explains what each of those numbers are and what they all connect to. So it just makes the installation a lot easier. A lot of the parts you can sort of figure out where they go, but there'll be some parts where I'm not too sure, and the diagram will help. Alright, we're going to start off by installing the main battery cable first of all. I've got this cable, I can't remember whether this is the cable that was in the Moke. The previous owner had already disassembled everything, or if this is just one of my spare parts ones, but the cable itself, the rubber on it is in very good condition. The only thing we need to do is just change this terminal and put a new one on. These terminals I got from Super Cheap Auto. These ones don't require crimping. You just put the cable in there and tighten down the bolts. Alright, so we'll start off in the engine bay. Now that cable, the other end of that cable does have a connector on there that is crimped already, so that will get connected to the solenoid. To make things easier, I'm going to start threading it through from the engine bay. The battery cable comes out of this hole here. This hole here is for the brake line, so that's for the battery cable, and then it runs and connects to the solenoid block. What I want to do is, to make things nice and neat, I'll install another one of them grommets and then thread the cable through that hole. And then I can adjust its position once we got it all through, and then we work out exactly how it goes here. So what would normally happen is the battery cable runs directly from that point over to the solenoid, but another way you can do it is, if there's enough length in it, the cable can sort of follow the actual main wiring harness, and it'll be a bit neater and just sort of run it around the edge. But we'll see how we go, and it depends how long it is. Okay, so once we've got the cable through there, I've just left it like a couple of, like less than a metre in the engine bay. So it comes out of here. Now, it will make its way down to this hole here. This section here will have a cover panel put on there. The reason why I've just got that bit of cardboard there is just so that brake line doesn't scratch anything. So I just need to grab a rubber grommet. I'll just slide that in there now. And then we can carefully thread this cable through that hole. And then I'll just need to grab it from the inside just to help feed it through. What I'll do, I'll just sort of, the divider is about here, so I will just thread it straight through that middle divider and help this cable make its way to this end compartment here, which will have the battery in. Okay, so in the actual battery compartment, where the battery sits in here. There's a couple of holes at this plate at the back to allow you to install one of these brackets which hold the battery in, and there's also these rods as well. I actually made these rods myself. What I did, I just purchased the steel from Bunnings. I believe it's 1/4 inch, and then I just put a thread on each end. So one end obviously screws into here, and the other end has a wing nut on there. So I've made two of those because I just couldn't find anywhere which had those for sale. Alright, so let's get them screwed in. On the other side of the battery box, you've got two options as to where you want to put the rod that holds it in, but in my case the battery will fit just on this side, and that's the size of the bracket anyway, so I'll be using this hole. Okay, so I've put together a battery cable for the ground. Up the top of the compartment there's a bolt up here, and that's where, there it is up here, the bolt hole. That's where the end of the cable attaches to. I'm just going to test to make sure this is the right bolt. So that's the earthing point from the battery. It will screw into there, so I'll get that fitted. Alright, so the other end of that, I've put one of these new terminals on. What we want to do first is, I have test fitted this battery. I did that before the Moke was even painted. I'll just slide it in there. The way to get this in, I found that you need to tilt it and get the terminals under first, like that. You'll notice I've left that red cap on there just for safety. Okay, I'll get it into the right position and then get this earth cable on. I won't be doing anything with this end just yet because we need to work out the length. I might need to cut it shorter or whatever. Alright, so I'll just install this piece. I'm not exactly sure which way around that goes, so I'm just going to have a guess and say it goes this way. But if that's not the correct way, just let me know in the comments and I will fix that next time I'm in this bit. Okay, we're ready to put the wing nuts on there. I might just put a couple of washers up here first though. Okay, so let's make a start at getting this in. The way they designed this harness, well, the grommet is on here already. So that grommet corresponds to this hole here. That is, they're all the electrical connectors for the inside. So speedo, what else have we got there? That's an attachment for the indicator stalk. I believe that's for the indicator flasher. So that all needs to be fed in up to where the grommet is. That'll probably be the first thing I will tackle. Okay, so the next part to figure out now is the rest of it. Now, this thinner section here, that all goes to the rear of the vehicle. So that'll sort of follow a path along here and then go through one of them holes. Okay, so what I've done with the wiring loom so far, I've got it threaded completely through the whole car, including the rear section. So I'll sort of just talk you through it. So I still need to close down these tabs and work out where everything's going exactly. So there's an additional fuse here, but that's the main fuse box. I have to work out which hole. I think it's that one that it screws onto. Next you have the horn, and then also this cable that runs down to the brake sensor, pressure sensor, to make the brake lights work. I can't remember what these ones are for, but I think they're for the washer bottle. Actually, they're for the indicator and park light. They don't actually go all the way through here, so they've got to go through to that hole in there, but it's going to need an extension wire. Following it along, I don't know if I've got this position correctly, but it seems to work. So that bunch goes to the solenoid. They're the connectors for the headlights. And then what have we got over here? These are for the indicator, so that will need an extension piece on there. We've got some going to the coil, and then some going to the alternator, and then this wire going to the temperature sensor. Now, once you start plugging things in, you can sort of see how it will fit. So there's no fitment issues at this end. And then this cable here makes its way to the rear and goes through that hole and then down to here. So I've put some grommets in here. Of course, the other bunch there, that's all just internal stuff. So following along, there are wires in here if you want an additional fuel pump. I believe that gets bolted onto there. And then there's another wire for the fuel level sender. Then the cable continues. Where the fuel tank is, there's some metal clips above here, and they sort of hold that cable in place. Alright, the cable then makes its way to the rear of the car, so it goes through here. You've got to get it inside this metal tube and up here too, and then it comes out here. That bunch will stay there for the left-hand light, and then the cable continues. You have to thread it through here, get it through here, and then from here you can send it to the other side. What I used to send it through was one of these. It's a plastic strip. Electricians use these to get wires through houses, but this is just a thin one. That was ideal. So get yourself one of them. I think you can get them from Bunnings. Alright, so that cable threads through to the other side and then finishes. Well, once it was a pain to get it through, but I got it through in the end. The thing that makes it hard are the thickness of these connectors. So you could cut and rejoin them if you want to, but as long as you tape them up into the way you sort of stagger them to make the bundle less thick, and then put some electrical tape around it, it helps it get pulled through easy. That one there's for the number plate light. I think that will just sort of go tuck under there and then just connect up here somewhere. Alright, so that's the wiring harness. The things I need to do next, I'm not going to touch that section yet. Inside the engine bay, I need to figure out where that screws in. I might even connect up the washer bottle. That ground strap, that needs to be bolted onto there, so that needs to be done. And the other thing I need to figure out too, these are the wires for the reverse warning light that's on the gear shifter, but there's no way that's going to reach, even if you sort of bring it back this way, there's no way that's going to reach down there, so it's going to need an extension piece down a bit further. I believe it sort of heads down in that direction somehow. The other thing I can do in here, this cable for the positive cable, I can sort of work out how I want to get it to go. You can sort of go up through there with those and make its way down to here on the solenoid. It just makes things a lot tidier and neater. Okay, so I sorted out the battery cable now, so the length is okay. So what I've done, I've fitted that other terminal on the end there. I won't be connecting that just yet. The other thing I've done as well is connected the gear stick lever. It's so I could get the wiring for the reverse warning light sorted. So I had to add an extension cable on, so it sort of runs right in here, makes its way to the actual gear selector, and then I've done it so it sort of follows the rest of the wiring, and then it continues up here in the loom, and then it sort of joins up to here to those connectors up here. So I've done it that way just to keep everything nice and neat. Alright, so now that the wiring loom is in, the next thing I need to do is probably sort out the fuel tank, because that can go in now. And then also these engine steady brackets, they need to get sorted too. Alright, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching my videos.